today's Road to CanHammer Team Tournament 2018 episode. Finishing my Custodes and resin bases. The road to a CanHammer Team Tournament. I was about to say road to Adepticon, but that's not correct, although it sounds a bit more dramatic. So welcome to CanHammer back, everybody, your source for 40k from Great White North. This work in progress episode is the road to the CanHammer Team Tournament. So CanHammer Team Tournament, as of the recording of this part of the video, is 4 weeks away. I have a number of Custodes that I still need to paint, as well as all the bases. So this episode will just be a quick feature on the Custodes that I still have to finish, although they're very much the same as painting the bikes that you've already seen on a previous episode. But most of the episode will be focused on making my marble bases, which is going to be quite a process, but should be a fun one. So do stay tuned. Just a quick update. My list now involves some Guardians, so I'm just painting these Guardians up. Basically the same color scheme as the Captain, so pretty much the same sort of thing, just no bikes. And we're gonna do those guys up, and that looks pretty good. I'll just give you an update on let me grab one out of here for you. How I ended up, I don't think I filmed this, but how I end up doing the Interceptor lances for the bikes. So the arm was just pretty much standard there as usual. And then this is what I settled on for the lances. So this is basically a base of Cantor blue. See the best way to see this. Yeah, so it's a base of Cantor blue, and then a wider highlight of Sotek green, and then a edge highlight of Temple Guard blue on the outside and the inside there, and then a very fine highlight of White Scar just on the tip and on the edges and on the inside. And I tried to make it so that it was like going across. So there's white there, and white there. So like make that kind of highlight that goes across the blade, maybe not so apparent on video. Maybe you can see a little bit more if I angle it like that, kind of like just like, so it's a little bit just like a white band that goes across. And then I meshed it all together with a layer of Gulliman glaze, and then I glazed it over with Art Coat to give it a bit of shininess. And that's basically it. So I did all my Intercept lance tips like that. A little bit labor intensive, but worth it. Looks very good, and I'm pretty happy with that. And I have my 10 bikers. I might be changing last minute to add another biker, so I'm just painting up my 11th biker there. And but first I gotta finish these Custodian guards. These guys are pretty much very similar to the bikers in terms of color scheme, so mostly gold. They have this kind of loincloth business here, which is just the Doombolt brown with the highlight of red and orange. Some gold studs on it I have to fill in yet. Some of them have these tassels, which I've painted with Celestia Gray, then some Nuln Oil and some White Scar highlight. You can see they're otherwise pretty similar. They got their leather gloves, the leather grip there, some silver details, and then the mostly black gun with some silver details. I haven't picked out the gold gilding yet, and this eagle on the front head, and of course the blade I haven't done yet. So then of course they got the red, and then mostly gold, and then the black shoulder guards. Yeah, and then the rest is all gold. So not too difficult to paint, way less detail than on the bikers. And so we're just going to finish those guys off, and then we'll get started on these very interesting marble base project. Alright, the lists are in and finalized, so here is my work to do. These guys are basically done except for their blades, just waiting for this second coat of Cantor blue to dry. Then we'll highlight them and they're done. Otherwise, these guys are looking pretty sweet. Really nicely detailed, lots of gems, blue eyes. Looks great. These guys look awesome for normal troopers. There we go. And then I'm working on my Custodians, my Alaris Terminators, and The cloaks are going to be black, so that's the first layer of black on the cloaks. And it's probably going to take 2 or 3 coats like everywhere else. So just doing that first, then I'll touch up the gold, and then we'll do the rest of these guys. So work begins on the Alaris Terminators. Alright, these guys are done. The usual formula there: Cantor blue, then Sotek green, then Tumbleguard blue, then White Scar, and then Gulliman blue glaze, and then Ard coat. There we go. And these guys are done. Boom. Pretty sweet. 4 guys there. Okay, and I've got my 4 coats of black to get a solid black on these cloaks. And they are done. Got to touch up a whole bunch of the gold, but otherwise they are done. It's crazy how bad the black covers the gold. Whereas some base paints, like Mephiston Red, for example, covers the gold in 1 coat. So there you go. You would think the black covers very well, but it does not over this metallic spray. So there we go. The Alaris are on their way with the big part of the cloaks done. Alright, these guys are starting to look like Custodes finally. So 3 or 4 layers of black on everything takes some time. A Abaddon black is just not good at covering gold. Apparently Vallejo black is better, but yeah, not good. And then now they're really starting to look like Custodes. Funnily how that happens once you get that plume on and a splash of red on the casing of the ballistic grenade launcher. So that's when they really start to look like Custodes, when they got that red plume. So they all got that now. And we're going to carry on and do the leather bits. And a lot of detail on these guys actually that the other models don't have. The front are way more complicated. They have tassels and trailers, and they even got these little fringe on the shoulder pads. Then they got like vents and stuff up here, and this sort of eagle. They've got the sword on the back, tassels on the cape, and they got faces, of course. So a lot, very cool models, very detailed. All right, work in progress on the Alaris Terminators. Road to CanHammer Team. So I finished doing the cloaks. I still really suck at cloaks. It's black with some Dark Reaper and then highlights of Dawnstone, and then I glazed it with some Nuln oil mixed with Lamy and Median, which didn't do very much actually. I was looking for something to blend it a little better together. So considering actually maybe giving it a deep blue glaze with Gulliman blue, but I just don't know if that's going to be helpful or not. So otherwise, details are getting done. All the browns are basically done. The silvers are on, just need to be highlighted. The faces are basically done. And the armor is the thing left to do. And all the gold, and then the little hammers. So red highlights and everything down. I got all my highlights down on the leather there. As I need to highlight the white, but otherwise everything else is done. So really it's just the armor left to go, and the axe head, and then these guys will be done. So making decent progress. I have 2.5 weeks to finish these guys, to finish one captain, because I want another captain that doesn't have the plume on, just make it easier in the game to figure out who's who. And then I need to do the bases. Alright, here we go. Terminators are finished. Turned out pretty well. Got some nice detail there on the ropes and the jewels and the dangling gold bits. The armor nicely picked out, a bit on the face. Even picked out the little gold bits on the fringe here. Crazy, crazy. Lots of jewels. It's like a jewel on every knuckle there. Lots and lots of jewels. And then did a little job on the axe blade there, my usual formula. Pretty good, really awesome models. Don't think I did too well on the cloak with the gray highlights, but hopefully when I finish the bases, that will kind of set these guys off. Yep, so these are the Terminator. All my models done now, so we're gonna get on to do the base. All right, so I have this piece of wrapping paper on a gift that I brought for my wife for her birthday. Came wrapped in this, and it's actually marble. I quite like it because it's mostly kind of white with some kind of a few of the spidery veins. I've watched at least 10 or 15 videos online now about how to paint marble, and of course marble can be anything. There's no marble, but this is generally a kind of generic looking marble, and I don't want it to be too worn. It's already kind of built into the base, so I want it to look like the Emperor's Palace, and not too much sort of, you know, not too busy to detract from the model itself. So I think this is a good inspiration here. It's mostly this kind of off-white marble with this sort of little bits of grays, almost a little bit of purpley hues in there. And Duncan on his video uses Dawn Stone as well as Mechanica Standard Gray and lots of Lamy and Median, some Agrax in the shading. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, and try my best at getting it done. So I actually have 3 extra biker bases, so I can experiment on one and see how it goes without running out of bases, because the bases do take some time to make and to send through, so there's a bit of time delay there. So we're going to try it out on a base and see how it goes. All right, now the final task is doing the marble bases. So as you know, I have these Dragon Forge resin bases that are very nice. I do recommend these for basing, but if you are going to do that, I would recommend you order it at least 3 or 4 months before you need them, because it takes him a while to get them out. I guess he hand makes them all, and it just takes a while, and he's a very busy guy. So do order them, but very nice bases. So I got these these are like marble little stones here to represent sort of the Emperor's Palace, and with the little life hack from Adam Abranowitz at the Best General, what he suggested we do is you base this in the shadow color that you want your marble, so not the sort of not the most prevalent color. So if you want white marble, don't spray it white, which I had initially done. I resprayed it the darker color, so I sprayed it Skaven Blight, not Storm Vermin Fur or whatever, that brown gray fur, and so it's this darker color. And then you take your steel wool and you lie it over top of it. I gotta just take a little piece off, and then you airbrush or spray through that with your marble color. So I'm gonna use probably I'm going to try it with the U.S. Air Force light gray that I used for my Scions, but I might also just try straight up white. I think probably going to go for gray, and then if I need to, I can spray it with white or use just white dry brush or highlights. So probably stick with this nice U.S. Air Force light gray, which is really almost kind of off-white. It's like all through in gray. And then you spray it here, and it creates, you know, a marble pattern, whatever kind of pattern you want. And people say that doesn't look like marble. Well, tell you what, if you Google marble, you're going to see 1001 different types of marble. So marble can look literally like anything. So I think that's going to make a nice little pattern. I don't want too much pattern, just subtle, and then fill these recesses with a little bit of shade. And then I've seen some videos where they take some watered down Agrax or with like medium and just make little kind of dirt, like, you know, sometimes you get like water stains and stuff like that on marble, just maybe 1 or 2 patches of water stains. So we'll see how that works out. But first thing we're going to do here is we're going to get our steel wool ready and just spray up this one base as a tester and see how that goes. And then when we're ready to go, we can batch all the rest of them pretty quickly. So that's the plan, and here we go. All right, here we go. Just stretched out a piece of steel wool. Could probably do with a little bit more stretching. It's kind of twisty, right? Like, because that's what steel wool is. And so just stretched out a portion, and on the small base maybe just a little area that's more concentrated, and then maybe a second area that's less concentrated. Anyway, you can mess with it, but you know, you can an infinite number of designs of patterns here just by stretching your steel wool out differently. It's not going to fall apart because it's all connected. And then I'm going to airbrush through here and see what happens. Alright, it took about 6 goes to figure out that white was better than the gray. The gray was too close to the undercoat, so that didn't work very well. So I switched to white, and then it took me a while to figure out that I can't really spray. I'm a airbrush amateur. I can't spray downwards. I was just resting it there. I have to spray this way, and so I ended up having to hold the wool with the base like this, with my glove on, and spray through like that onto the hand. And then it worked pretty well, and this is what we got. So here are my marble bases, just first sort of pass. So you can see that some of them is a pretty nice sort of marbly pattern to it. And then what I did was some of them were more gray than white, and so I just went over them with the dry brush, with the airbrush again, just trying to make it generally more white than gray. And I think it worked out pretty well. Maybe this one is still a little bit gray in this area here, but I don't know if it shows on camera, but it certainly looks good in person. It's got this, there's no real clear distinct pattern to it, but it's clear that it's, when it's going to be gloss coated and stuff, it's going to look pretty good. Also, one of the steps is going to be just to pick out a few more distinct lines with maybe some dawn stone or something like that. So so that is a great first start, and I was doing so well that I got all the bases that I need for the army. So I got 8 little round bases for the footmen. I've got the 6 for the bike unit, and then the 4 captains. So I got that all done while I was on a roll. So yeah, that looks pretty good. So we're going to carry on with the next part, and I think the next part will be to try and recess wash the bigger recesses, and then a lot of the bases have these dirt areas here. Kind of deal with those before picking out some of the sort of more detailed lines on the marble, and then it's going to be finished with the gloss coat. Alright, I got these today from the local Michaels. These are called Aquash, like aqua wash water brushes. This one particularly made by Pentel, but I guess they're different brands. And it was like $40 for the 4 of these, so not super cheap. But basically what these are is you fill this bulb here with water or paint or watercolor, or in our case GW washes, and it's a little brush, and you brush it in, and it comes in 4 different sizes. I'm going to pop this open, and let's have a look. Alright, it's exactly like it says. So there's a squishy bulb here, and then that's kind of like a pen, and then this is the sort of nib area, and it's a brush, but it's fairly stiff, kind of plastic or acrylic or whatever. It's not like fiber, so it would probably keep its shape pretty well. That's the smallest one, I think, and then yeah, that one's definitely finer than that, and it goes up to even larger. They have a little bit of give like a brush, and then this one is a little bit flatter and larger. So these 4 different sizes, and you just fill it up with stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of these as a tester, maybe this one. And I've been polling opinion as to how marble this looks, and I feel like actually it looks pretty naturally marble as is. Obviously, forgetting the fact that I gotta gloss it up, but some of the tutorials say you can, you know, magnify some of these squiggles with a little bit of shade, and so I might end up trying it out and see what it looks like. And if I don't like it, I can just wash it off. But we're gonna try that out and see how that goes. Alright, you can see here I've got the Nuln Oil in the container here. That was actually harder than it seems, trying to pour from a GW container into a little aperture, but anyway, it went okay. And then you just squeeze it to get the shade down to the nib. You see the nib is kind of black now. It was white. And then you don't have to squeeze or anything. Then you just write with it, and it's extremely as fine as you like. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. And it still has a little bit of organicness to the line, soft edges and stuff, and you can make it thicker as you go, because it's still like a brush, like it gives way. So we're definitely going to try that out on these bases now. All right. Let's see. Here's a good example, just drawing some black lines on the marble. I don't really know if I super like it. I tried to keep it as minimal as possible, picking out some of the stronger gray lines in the marble. I guess we'll see. Have to be pretty delicate with it, otherwise the stuff comes out pretty quickly. I think it'll look better when there's some weathering and then it's all glossed up. I think it'll be okay. And there's other parts of the base that are painted, like these little rubble patches there. So I think it'll be okay. We're going to leave it. We're not going to do any more. What we're going to do now is put some Agrax gloss or null gloss into all the crevices now, and really make these stones kind of stand out. Alright, so on the left is a base that's had the Agrax, the Nuln Oil gloss penned into the creases. That pen makes it really easy. There's a few areas where it comes out of the groove, but that just gives the stone a more natural shadowing. And then this one over here on the right has no Nuln Oil in the grooves yet, so you can really see how the base pops to life with that darkness in between the stones. And that's going to be really nice when it kind of pops out a bit too much right now, but once the white gets its gloss, I think it's gonna be pretty nice. All right, so using my cool little pen here, which rinsed off in no time, and some of my new Nuln Oil gloss. Basically, you just take the little tip of the pen and you touch it into the groove, and it goes and fills the groove. That's really easy, very neat and precise. In some places you get a little line because some gets onto the surface, but actually that just adds depth to the stone. So it's okay actually, and so that's outlined all the stones quite nicely. It does take a little bit of time, but it's way faster than washing and then recoloring in the main color. I'm not a huge fan of the little lines that I drew. I won't do that next time. It's not so obvious, and when I gloss everything it probably won't be as obvious. But so what I'm gonna do now is actually kind of gloss varnish all of it, except for the sort of soil elements here, the rubble. Well, I might just do it all, just make it easier. I think I got it in spray, the art coat spray. Just gonna spray it all up, and yeah, that looks pretty good. What I might do is just touch up the sides first before spray varnishing it. And then basically they're done. I want to keep them fairly simple. Let's get a biker here. So, you know, I want to keep it not to detract too much, just to complement the color scheme really. If I can get this guy off, okay. So basically, if I take this base, that's what it's going to look like. Boom, boom, like this. Which is pretty cool. Just straightforward. Looks okay. Nothing too complicated. Just like flying over the marble. I think that's gonna look pretty good. I don't know yet whether to put a little patch of Agrax on or not. Whether that's going to just be too busy. I might try a little dab on one of these bases, just see how it goes. Just going to give the gloss a little bit time to dry, and then we'll try that out. Alright, I tried a dab of Agrax here with Lamy Median and just straight up Agrax. Don't really like it. Mopped it up. I got a little ring there now. That's okay. I'll cover it up with Custodes feet. But no, don't really like it. I think I'm going to leave my bases as they are. I'm going to let them dry, and then I'm going to seal them up with some art coat, and they will be done. Then in order to mount my dudes, I'm going to have to take them off their current bases, which is fine. They're just super glued, not cemented, so they'll just snap off, and glue them on here. But for the bikers, I'm going to have to drill little holes to put those little stand thingies on. So that's going to take a little bit of effort, but then they'll be done. Alright, the layer of art coat has been applied, and I gotta say, that final gloss layer of art coat really brings it all together. Kind of melds the black and white and the lines, even the crappy lines that I did, you know, kind of melted together, and then it gives it that marble shine, which is really key to making it look like marble as opposed to just looking like stone. So yeah, super good. Really happy with that. 2 coats of black around the edge of all the bases, and so these bases are looking really awesome. I'm loving it, actually. Super proud of myself for having accomplished this. Thought I would not be able to do it, and it's worked out pretty well. I don't even know if the shine comes out on camera really, but it's certainly apparent in person, and it looks very good. This is kind of the test base which I've been working on. You can see the little splashes of brown in there, which I'm not sure I like, but adds a bit of character to the base. But otherwise, you can see a bit of shine there as I move it around the light, and certainly looks very awesome. So I'm loving this. So I'm just going to let that dry off. Then the next step will be to base. Probably start with these guys because they're easier, just have to glue them on, but then we're gonna have to start drilling some holes for the biker dudes. There we go. Duders on bases, and it looks awesome. Looks awesome possum. Pretty easy just to snap these guys off the old bases and glue them back on these ones, so no issues there. But yeah, it looks really good. So we're going to go on to the harder part now. Oh, well, we'll do the Terminators, and then we're going to start drilling these. Alright, the flying bases are done. So basically, I just took the stem off of those speeder bases. Some of them were difficult, but most of the time you could just push it out with this tool. So you just push it from the bottom through the hole, and it pops out. And then I attached it to a sample biker. And then so I could place it this way, and then I just center it this way, and then I take my handy dandy drill. So what you're looking for is about a 1/8 inch drill bit. Drill a hole through the middle. It's just resin, so just straight through the middle. Wiggle it around a little bit because you need a little bit extra than 1/8. And then pop a bit of glue on the stem and stick it in, and there you go. So these are the flying bases done. So what I'm going to do is just show you basically my army together there in a second. The golden host is done. Oh yeah. Got my custodians, my terminators, Alaris custodians, and my jet bikes. Virtus Praetors. Very awesome. 2 more guys back there. So actually, since I got some time now, I'm going to paint up my last unhelmeted guy so that my 3 captains can be unhelmeted. I have a 4th captain in this list, but after CanHammer Team, I'm only going to have 3 captains, so that works out perfectly. So I'm just going to paint them up. Shouldn't take me long to just paint one guy. And yeah, so this guy's arm is at a jaunty angle. I'm not sure how that happened, but we're going to see if I can fix that. But otherwise, my Custodes are done and ready for a CanHammer Team Tournament. So that was a lot of work. I spent a lot of time on these guys. I think I've spent since Custodes came out, I've been basically focused on painting these guys. It's taken me a while, but I think it looks amazing. I love to play these guys just because of how awesome it looks, even if I lose. It's really, really cool looking army. I love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and wish me luck at CanHammer Team Tournament, which is this weekend. And if you like this video, please click on like below. Please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the CanHammer symbol there. And if you really want to support what we do here at the channel, consider supporting us on Patreon by clicking the link up there. And thank you very much for watching.